How early in the process should buyers and sellers be, looking ahead to this, planning for this? Is it something you start the communication process before the closing? Do you start this after the closing? And the second part of that, what's the best method to communicate to Amazon? Do you do it within, Amazon's system? Is there an offline like email, escalated email like that you guys use, or do you have a personal contact that you guys use? Maybe some nuts and bolts there would be interesting.
Yeah, sure. So on when you should start talking about this between buyer and seller, I would say if you're not talking about it in any detail, or even at high level at the stage of the LOI, that's a mistake. Just because by the time you're closing, you need to be sort of hitting the ground running with a plan in place. And so my strong recommendation is that, in your LOI, you're talking with some degree of clarity. It doesn't have to be, all the details about, what a transition looks like, what the plan is for which accounts you're taking over and operating. One thing that could go overlooked, if you're buying a business that has a US account and a Europe account, and you don't have a European account or European legal entity, it can take months and months and months to actually transfer a European account or to set up your own and get the proper VAT registration. And so, if that's not something that comes out until the day that you're trying to sign, that's going to be a huge problem, right? Because you probably don't want to clear escrow until that's done. And likewise, they don't want to give you the full control until they clear escrow. And so in situations like that, you might need to have two separate APAs, for example. And so all that to say that you need to be talking about this from early on about what your plans are, because that should be something that everybody's on the same page on. Your second question, Nate, was on sort of nuts and bolts of how you communicate with Amazon.
Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications about new videos and interviews. And introduce yourself in the comments. Are you a buyer or a seller?